welcome to Manny's Making. Happy 2018. This is the first video for me since the new year. Been busy doing some seed bead weaving, and I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to see that, so I didn't film any of it. But anyways, we're going to make these earrings today. They're just a frame that you can do whatever you want with inside it. In this case, I have woven with wire some beads on it and sort of made a native earring with a feather hanging on the bottom. It's quite fun. So I'm going to show you how to do this one today, but I'll show you another example of something you could do with the same premise. So here's another set of earrings, and this one's done with just another piece inside that's attached with just a little bit of beads on it. So you can, this is in my Etsy store already. You can see how you know, how easy it could be or how difficult it could be. It's up to you and what beads you use, and the premise is make the frame and then go from there. Now you can make this frame any size or shape you want. You can make it as long as you want. You can put dangles from it. You can do whatever you'd like, but today we're going to do this one. So I have a feather and I have the jump ring that came with it, and then I have a lever back earring. We're going to make the other half of this one. And then I have two types of craft wire. I have a 28 gauge today that I got, and I also have some 20 gauge from ParaWire. Now you're going to need about 6 inches to make this particular length of straightened piece of ParaWire, and then we're going to go from there. So we need some tools. You're going to need, these are flat nose, as you see. Square nose pliers. They're great because they're going to give me my spacing today. I always use this when I'm doing wrap loops, so this is my bent nose pliers. You're going to need some nippers or some cutters. You're going to need something to straighten your wire with, which I've already used. You're going to need some round nose, just once. I always have these on hand, and that's for opening and closing the jump ring. So these are my needle nose pliers. And then I have a chasing hammer, and I have a block, and I also have a ruler. All the things you need. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6-inch wire and make sure it's straight, which I already did. And then I'm going to take it, and I always have the wrong end of the ruler up for those Americans who like to watch this. So it's 6 inches, and I'm going to put my fingers where the 3-inch mark is. Swap hands because I don't want it on that side. And I'm just going to take and put this, let's see if I can make this a little closer for you. Okay. So I'm just going to take my pliers, and I'm just putting the width of my pliers right where the 3-inch mark is, and you can see the wire comes out on either side. And in this case, my pliers are the same width all the way along, so it doesn't really matter. You can do this with your bent nose pliers. Just put it higher up because you want a certain width available for you. And I'm just going to take and bend both sides. Usually I do them together, up and over, and push against the side of the plier. Now they're going to cross over a little bit. That's fine. What I'm trying to do is get this wonderful sharp angle, and that's what I'm looking for the most. Okay. So this is where the trickier part of this whole thing comes. So I'm just straightening out the wire and trying to make them sort of parallel to each other. And now I got to figure out the length. Well, in this case, in this one, I did it 1.5 inches, but I can take this other earring that I've already made and use that as a measurement as well. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to stick them right where the bend is. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure this wire is slightly in front of the other wire, and I'm going to just bend and push against the side so I get a nice sharp 90 degree. Now one of the things is it always takes a little bit of space for the bend to actually occur, so if you put it on top of this wire, the bend's actually going to occur at the same place. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it over, and I'm going to make sure this other wire is out of the way of my pliers, so I'm just pushing it forward to get it out of the way. And I'm having lots of filming issues today, so let's see what's going on. There we go. So we get a nice sharp bend. So we have a sharp bend on either end, and they need to be about equal, so I'm going to just give them a little shove out so that they equal off a little bit. See, this is what we have to start with. Now this is the hardest part of this entire earring, is getting this centered. So I'm going to take it, and I'm just taking the top of it. I'm just going to move my light here, so my magnifying light, you all know I visualize you, so I need to see what I'm doing. And I need to take this so that my pliers, this edge of my pliers, is sitting just basically at the halfway mark. Because when I bend it up, it's going to eat a little bit. So I'm looking at how big this space is, which should be this big, because that's how big the other side is, right? So I basically want half of my plier width sticking. Sorry, half of my plier width sticking. There, so that's not quite right. I got to bend it so I can see it. Well, that looks about right. We're going to find out. And I'm just going to bend it straight up. So I end up with that. That looks pretty centered. It's not too bad. I can't complain. So we're just going to tweak this a little bit. Now I got to do the same thing on the other side. But I have the other one now to gauge with, so I'm just checking with my width of my, I'm just checking with width of my pliers to make sure that I'm holding it at the right width. And then I'm putting my pliers in about halfway. That looks about the same, yeah. Making sure this wire is out of the way so I don't catch it too while I bend it. And I'm going to bring it up and bend it at 90 degrees. Look at that. So that's, that part's done. Yay. Now what you're going to find is one side is always just a smidge longer than the other side. I think this side's just a smidge, but I have to look closer. Yep, it's a smidge. So this is what I do. And I'm talking about the shoulders here. I take this and I hold them beside each other, making sure that the same width is the bottom. So again, if you want to, you could actually put your pliers in there to show you to make sure that the right width. Okay, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to bend it flat down towards the other one. Okay, so that you have this going on. So it's starting to bend around it. And that's literally what I'm going to do with it now. So now I'm going to take it and I'm going to hold it exactly where I want it to be, the same width as my pliers. So that I want the same width all the way down. What you pick for your width is your choice. And this is one of the hardest shapes to do because of the fact that it's a rectangle. If it was a square, it's just as hard to get them all even. For some reason, I'm getting all kinds of like hang-ups on my. I'm gonna have to use my other phone, I think, to record soon. Okay, bend it around. I'm holding it here the way I want it to continue to be at the top. Looks about right. Double check with the width of the pliers. So yep, it's right. So I don't want to pull too tight because I don't want it to pull in. So this time it went right. That's the trickiest part. That's the trickiest part of the entire thing. And I have no idea why my camera is glitching. And I can already see how it's already starting to bend forward again. So I'm going to take it, shove it back. I do not want you going in, bending in. Double checking that everything's good. That's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm just, this is, as I said, one of the hardest shapes to do. And I'm making a funky mess, but that's okay. I can straighten it all out, and I'm going to be hammering it. The wire's pretty soft. It's from ParaWire, so which gives you lots of grace, but it also means that it's soft, so it bends easily. There we go. I'm a little bit happier. So you keep tweaking it till you get it the way that you want it to be. I gotta go around one more time, and I gotta cut it off. So I always cut towards the back because I don't want to see this on my earring. And wow, I can see that I'm getting the glitchies, and I'm not sure why, what's going on. So I cut that off. I think my camera took a holiday and now doesn't want to go back to work. There we go. Okay, so now I have to tweak it. Make it happy. Make it the same as the other one. So I'll be back in a second when I've got that done. Okay, I'm back and I've got this where I'm happy with it. So now it's time for the old, let's move this other stuff out of the way, for the bench block. Plug your ears or whatever, I'm not going to hit it that much. And all I'm doing is hammering it. I always like to flip it. And this work hardens it. This work hardens it and makes it a little flatter and shinier and a lot more sturdy. It's not going to give. I don't want it to be like, wow, so I can bend it really easily. But it's a delicate earring. It's not meant to be bounced off the ceiling. So let me get this bench block out of the way. And the hammer out of the way. Less things on my bench. Yay. Okay. So now we have it wrapped around. And we have the piece coming out the top. I'm not going to worry about that yet. Now we're going to do the wire weaving. So I figured it out that's about 2 feet was what I needed of this 28 gauge. Depending on what you're doing, you'll need different amounts. So let me just pull back out a bit here. Depending on what you're doing, you'll need different amounts of wire to do what you need to do. So I'm going to grab a couple of feet. Grabbing the ruler just to double check, because I do not want to be short. Yep, that's a couple of feet. Okay, so I got a piece of wire, my 28 gauge, and I'm going to start it. And where I'm starting it, on like unlike some of the other places where I start it, is I like to start it at the top. And because I have this wrap here, I've got a wonderful place to just grab a hold of this wire, bring it around the front once, twice, 3 times, and then I'm going to bring it over to the side. Okay, so I brought it around 3 times around the top here. It hides in the other coils, you can't even see it, and I'm bringing it to the side. And this, we're just going to weave these beads on, okay? So what I like to do is start with at least 3 wraps. So you can go in like this and pull it in. Now the chances are that you get it tangled if you do that are pretty high. So there's another way to do this. See how I just wrapped it around once? Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to start this film all over again. Okay, I'm back. I think I've resolved the camera issues. We'll see what happens. We're going to give it a shot. So I'm going to start again where I started before, which is with this. I'm going to now wrap it. So we got to the place where this frame was ready to go. It was hammered, everything was wonderful. So I'm just going to take a little bit of tail. I'm going to try to come in a little bit. Sorry about the bouncing. I have to touch my camera, as you all know, to actually get it to zoom in. So I'm holding it there, and I'm going to go around 1, 2, 3. I usually go the other way, but that's okay. Yeah. Alright, so now you have to go around this. I like to have it secured to the side of it before I start the beads, the bead portion. So you got to bring your wire around, and you're going to wrap 1. Now it's not going to want to stay, so I'm going to make it come down. There we go, 1. Now putting it in the hole like this is probably not the best way, because see what can happen is you have to fight kinks all the time. So what I usually do, and this is the way that I do it, everybody has a little bit different, is I take it and I just bend it and push it in, and I grab from the other side and pull, and it works much better. So I'm trying to get 3 wraps at the very end of this piece of a rectangle, at the top end of this rectangle here, so that I have the right spacing for my first set of beads. So now we need some beads. So I have a bunch of different beads, and I'm just going to put a few out. These are copper, sort of a copper type. I don't need too many of any of them. I have some big bags of beads, so we're going to do it the same as the other one. So I'm going to use the same beads. Whoop. I'm just going to I usually use a bead mat. I'm not at the moment. Let's get some red ones, or burgundy ones I call them. So I'm just getting little piles. They're just out of view. Right there. Sorry. I should have thought of that when I was putting the little piles in. I'm going to need some, these are seafoam. They're in the Picasso. I love them. I got them from beadshop.com. And now I have some black Picassos as well, and I love these ones. They're called Smoke, I think. You don't need a lot of beads. It doesn't take a lot of beads. If I need more, I can pour more. But that's just an idea. So these are some of the beads that I've got on my table, just so you can see. I just sort of have them spread out on my table. And we're going to come back down to my thing. I just don't want them in the way of the wire. The wire's gonna bang around. So, all right. So I am ready for my first group. So I always like to come from the top, and then I have to put some beads on. So on my last one, let's put this out here where I can see it as a reference. I started with, it's a row of black, right? And then I started my chevron pattern here. So we're gonna do a row of black first. So they're up here. You're going to see my big fat hand in the way. You don't need to see me picking up beads. 1, 2, 3. It should fit 5 wide. These are a size 11 odd, if I haven't said it, seed beads. Okay, so I have the seed beads on my thing, and I'm bringing them down. There's 5 of them on there. So I have them sitting here, and as you can see, you can just measure to see that, oh yeah, that looks like the right amount to go around there. Now, you can choose to do this 2 different ways. One, you can go around to the top again. The problem is going to be with that is that you're going to have to run back to the bottom. You're going to have to literally go to the other side and then come back up, so that all your beads lay on the top. Or you can have your beads lay inside it, or you can have your beads lay different ways. This is your choice. For me to have my beads lay flush inside the wire, this is what I have to do, and it's much like doing laddering or whatever if you're making bracelets. I pull the wire underneath, I grab a hold of my beads in my fingers, put them where I want them, and okay, so making sure I have enough space in there. I bring this around and wrap. So now that when I start the next one, I'm going to be coming up top, but I need to do a few wraps in between each set. So setting the first one's the hardest, so what I'm doing is pushing it up, making sure it's sitting in between those 2 sets. So there's one wrap, 2 wrap, and on the other one I had to do 5, so 3. I'm just coiling around the wire for 2 seconds. Yep, 4. And get in there. 5. So now I'm at the top again, and you can see if I hold my wire straight across, it's looking pretty good for there should be enough space for the beads. The thing is that if you have to do more coils, do more coils. If you have to do 10 coils between each bead because you're using big beads, or size 8 or size 10 or size 6/0, you can use whatever size you want. You could do like a couple of 6/0 in here. You could do whatever. So figure out the spacing and just do more wraps around each side so that when you do this, it goes, oh, that looks like it would fit in there. Alright, so my next row on the earring here is 2 black, 1 green, and 2 black. So I know my big hand's in the way here. 2 black, 1 green, and 2 black. And if you want, I can pull back out after this one so that you can see the beads at the same time. Okay, so I'm bringing them down, and you can see what they look like. Now they're going the other way. Again, I don't want them just on top because then my wire ends up being on the bottom for the next round, and then I would have beads on one side, then the other side, one side, then the other side, one side, then the other side. That's not good. For me, it's not good. It's not a design thing I want to do. So I'm just bringing it through, making sure I don't lose the beads, putting them up, holding it with my finger, and then doing the one wrap. Come on, get, and pull, and I am knocking my beads all over this table. Okay, so I pull that fairly tight, and I double check. This is where you're setting up your spacing, so I want to make sure everything's happy and everything's sitting between the wires. So if you look from the side, you're going to see that what I'm doing is making sure my beads are in the middle. See? So that's what I'm checking, that my beads are in the middle and everything's okay, because that's where I want each row of my beads to sit in this particular case. So that was one wrap. So now I got to do some more. Okay, my fingers are not wanting to work today. 1, 2, whoa, I'm going to do it this way because I'm really tight up. 3, and as you can see, I'm knocking beads all over. 4, and for me, my spacing is really kind of nice at 5. I'm watching that I'm not getting any kinks in my wires. We don't want to get any kinks. And I'm just looking at my spacing of my wire here, making sure it's all like sort of shoved down neat. So I bring this up, see if it'll focus for me. Come on, you can do it. I know you can. Okay, see how my wire is still neat on the side? So I have to fix this on the one side here, but it's pretty neat. Okay. And my fingers look like heck into that magnification. There we go. Yay, autofocus is working. Alright, next row. I'm going to back out a bit so you can see the beads. Oh, wrong way. See, beads all over the place. Yay, isn't this fun? I was knocking these ones all over. So I have my black ones, my sea foam. I have, these are copper. You'll see them when they go on. Obviously, jade color, some burgundy ones over here. So just straightening them out a bit. So, wow, we'll throw, this is a rubber mat, so these things are like bouncing like crazy. Okay, so I'm ready to do the next, and so I just use the end of this like a needle, and the next one is one black, and then 2, 3 green, because I have 5 total in the middle, and then 1 black. So I'm increasing on either side. Okay, bring the beads down, as you can see. Try not to hit them too much with a wire. Bring it over. Double check that it all fits, that it's all good. Looks like it does, so I'm going to go underneath now. Bring the wire through. Sure doesn't kink. Almost. Woohoo. Okay. Bring the wire through. And tighten. So, and I do that one fairly tight, because what I want to do is I want to set up, making sure I'm keeping this square. I want to set these beads up lovely in the center here. Okay, so that's farther back, so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue with this process until I get everything put on, and I'll give you another look at the earring, wherever I put it, and I cannot find it. Where did I put my earring? I will give you another look at the earring when I find it, and when I get the other one done, so you can see the pattern. But basically, the next row would be green, with the middle one would be the next color that I'm putting on. And in my case, I don't remember. I have to look at the earring. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I'm pretty well done. Let's see if I can get this to focus here for you. Come on, baby, you can do it. There we go. So this, you can see the pattern. The first row is black, and then the second row is, you know, the black with the seafoam green starts, and the seafoam green, so the cranberry to the jade sort of blue, and then the copper, antique copper, and then black, and then I did a row of seafoam, a row of cranberry, and I have one last row to do, because if you look at this earring, there's 2 rows of the blue at the bottom, and see how it matches. You can do whatever pattern you like. Just, I wanted to show you how I finish this. So I have one last row to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, And this is the last row. So this is something else I want to mention while I'm picking up the beads, is that this is a great place to, you know, those, if you're a seed beater and you do other things like peyote and you know, bead weaving, then you can use those littler, skinnier beads, like especially if your shape's round or not perfectly rectangle and you can't get 5 in every single spot. You know, if I had less space than 1 bead's width left, I would have shoved these all down a little bit and spaced them out a little bit to compensate for the space. But sometimes, let's say that I could only fit 4 in there, so, or 4 if one of them was skinny. So I find that skinny bead that you would normally go, you know, when you're culling out because you're doing other bead work, and you have those skinny beads, keep those. This is a beautiful place to use them because it doesn't really matter. Nothing has to be absolutely exact, and it helps you with those little spaces and little areas that are, oh, almost got a kink. Silly girl. Don't want to do a kink at this point. Okay, last row. So obviously I can't go 5. Let me just zoom in here. Okay, obviously I can't go 5 wraps, but I can get a few for sure. So what I'm doing is just sticking the wire down between the end of the piece and here. And this bead decided it wanted to take a trip, so did the rest of them. So it wasn't holding on to them well enough. And pull. Now this, what's nice about this 28 gauge is that it's really, really forgiving. It doesn't like kinks and then being pulled though. So if you get a little bit of, you know, see how smooth it's staying. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to coil this entire end. I'm going to come all the way around and I'm going to coil this entire end like I did on this one. Let's see if it'll come into focus for you. There we go. See how the whole end's coiled? And then I put this on with a jump ring, and I'll come back when I got this whole end coiled, and we'll put the jump ring on and finish the top together, and we'll be all done. Okay, I'm back, and the bottom's been coiled, and now we have to finish off the top piece here. So obviously I have to get rid of the weaving wire that's there. So I'm just going to cut it in really close. And take that piece out, make sure there's nothing there. Everything's fine. So we're going to just do a quickie wrap loop. There we go. So I'm going to take this and put them as close as I can to the tips because I don't want a big one, and I'm just bending it. So I'm not leaving a lot of space. I just want 1 wrap in there. And I like this loop fairly decent size. I don't want it super, super tiny, but it's not very big either. And I'm coming around. And I just sort of move my pliers as I come around, and I'm making sure that that is sort of sitting on top. So let me just double check. I can tweak it around, make the scarf go higher. I'm okay with where that's sitting. So now I need my pliers to hold on to it. Hold on to my loop. Bring that back down again so I can do the 1 wrap. So I got my loop. And I'm going to do a wrap in between where the other wrap is. So I got to really pay attention and watch what I'm doing here. And I'm going to flip it around with my other hand because I cannot see. There we go. And my bent nose pliers. So tuck that in and just to there. And I'm going to cut that off in the middle there. So that's the same as the other one. Again, I want this cut to the back, and you should really cover that up when you do that. Bringing this around, tucking it in, making sure everything's good. I'm happy with everything. I can feel something on the front, and it's, I think, where the wire ended here. So just give me a second and make sure it's tucked in. Yep, I'm just feeling everywhere with my fingers and making sure everything's good, making sure this is centered. It's in the center, it's okay at the top. And tweak it just a little bit more this way. happy. All right, so now there's two things left to do. One is put the ear wire on, and the other thing is to put this on. So it's a jump ring. I just left the jump ring on here because it was easier. And I'm just going to open the jump ring. Okay, so I have the one set of pliers like this and the other set of pliers like this. And I'm just twisting my hands in opposite directions. I'm not pushing in, pulling out, I'm just twisting. And this is just going to go over the bottom of my earring, like so. And then I'm going to just close the jump ring. Make sure it's closed from all angles. And I can see that it's not. There we go. So she's closed. Now, I've chosen to just let this float along the bottom. It moves back and forth, but it's fine. It gives it lots more movement, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to back out just a little bit here. Yay! So I've just chosen to let it hang out where it wants to be. And yeah, it'll move around, but it won't go up, and these beads won't slide down any further because of the coiling on the bottom. So they're not going to slip down and impede the movement of this. So everything's going to stay exactly where I've got it. So last thing to do now, these lever backs, I don't know if you can see this, but the lever backs, the openings are really delicate. Come on, focus please. Nope, can't see it. No, it's not going to show you. Just be careful when you open them. You don't want to, they're not the same as the hooks. They're a lot more delicate, and you don't want to mess them up. So I just take them and I open them. So in this case, I have to check to see where the opening is. And these are really hard to see. Okay, so the opening is on this side here, which is actually the front side, which is interesting. And I'm just going to take it, and I'm just turning it just a little bit. I'm trying to turn it as little as possible. Now this is the front side of the earring without the back on it, lever back, and I'm going to take a quick look at this and go, okay, which side's my front side? That's my front side because I can't see the ends of anything. So I'm going to put that on there carefully, and then I'm just going to close that up. Make sure that's closed. Make sure it's closed, good. And I have my second earring. So now we have a wonderful native inspired set of earrings. And they would go with lots of different clothing. I want to thank you for being with me today and learning. Have some fun with this. Try different shapes. Rounds are harder because you have to fill in the little edges. Rounds are great for brick stitch around them. But anyways, and if you want to see me do some bead weaving, let me know. I'm doing peyote with a twist right now. It's sort of my thing I'm into. I'm going to try and do another wire weaving tutorial by the end of the week for you, so that you'll have, you know, by Wednesday or Thursday, so you'll have another one as well. So take care, and don't forget to like or share down below. You know, go down below, like or share. The list of what you need materials are there. And take care from Annie's Making, and keep on making.